When I paint reflections like this little bell, I don't really follow the reference photo. I just kind of put random colors in and outline it with black and white, and it looks good. I don't really worry about getting it perfect, because that looks like a metal bell, right? Like, it's the easiest part. Now the tricky part is going to be the background of this kitten, because I've already painted for this person a few times and they want the background to match those. So that, I know already, is just going to be the tricky part. And I'm painting on a loose piece of paper, so it's a little warped right now, but I can flatten that out so easily once I'm done. Just makes it a little annoying while I'm working on it in the middle of the process, but not a huge deal. This guy is the one I painted in the bag. This is him in adult form, and they came back and they wanted a kitten version, which I thought was so cute. And I'm doing a kitten version of this tortoise shell as well. And I have my dog right next to me right now. He's being good currently, but no promises. He might bark. The back of his legs are kind of like this orangish color. Let's see how that looks. Can you guys see that? There you go. So it might look a little jarring right now while everything else is still white around it, but once I add in the black fur and the green background, this won't look as orange. And he's almost kind of like a purplish pink right here. On this side in shadow. So yeah, it looks really jarring and too dark when I don't have the rest painted in, but white is not ever usually actually white. Never usually, contradiction, but it's usually different colors. And when I paint, I like to go extra colorful with black or white animals. So you can see here where I've used blue and green instead of just plain black or white. I think it gives it a little bit extra visual interest. That was the wrong color to use there. Can I make a dog? I actually paint dogs more often than anything else. I have a lot of dog videos on my profile, both here on YouTube and on Instagram. Full process videos and like reels and shorts. Dogs are probably like, I think more people have dogs than they have cats. I don't know, don't quote me on that, but that's what I get commissioned more often for. Flowers. I have played around with painting flowers, but never actually anything for like commissions or paid work. Let's see, I think I might have. No, I thought I might have some of my sketched flowers I've worked on before right here, but I don't know where they are. It's almost tulip season here in Washington. It's gonna be so pretty this year, I hope. I go to the tulip festival every year. Here, I'll move it so you guys can see his cute little face. So that looks really bad right now, but it's just the first layer for his tail. It's gonna go much darker. Actually, want a bigger brush for that. I don't want it to look too detailed because I want the visual focus to be his face, not his tail. Thank you. It helps when the photos themselves are so cute. This tail almost has an orangish glow at the tip there. So I'll just add that in to go underneath the black. Whoops, that was a mistake. Oh well, I'm gonna cover that up with like blue and green anyways, so not a big deal. But I do want that orangish glow to come through down here. And he has some like red almost underneath his back paw there. So get some pinkish orange. That's not dark enough. Let's try that. There we go. I think that matches pretty well. I'm looking at this spot right here on the photograph. And I'm gonna wait to do his shadow once I start working on the background. Because the background is going to be like a blue-green, not a warmish orange. And then the shadow is just dark over here. It's not really any color. I've never painted the back of an animal's legs before. It's not much to look at. It's weird not painting their little paw pads or their little toes or claws. But I thought this pose was so cute when this cat's mom sent me all the photos. His face is definitely in shadow right there. And it'll help too when I cover this weird area up with whiskers. It always looks weird before I get to the whiskers on this part of cat's cheeks. And he's got the same thing on this side, behind that little cheek. It's just a little bit darker. And then this area, I think, needs to go darker. Just a little bit. I'm gonna go with blue because I'm making the background blue once I get to that point. You know, on the photo that looks purple on that highlight, but I don't think it will make sense with a blue background. This tail definitely needs to go darker. Just go with a bunch of water. I don't want to go too exact on the tail and hind end here because that's not the point of the focal point of the painting. The face is. So if I can kind of keep it loose and splashy and watercolory, it might look better. I don't know. It's not the best reference photo because for the hind end specifically, because I really can't tell what's going on back there. It's just a blob of dark fur. I was thinking about going live on Instagram before this, but YouTube ultimately went out because they save the video afterwards and it stays up if I want it to, so that way people can watch it later. And this will look better too when I add in all these little wispies here along his whole body. Hey, thank you. I'm just about to start on the background. I've been putting it off because the background scares me, because it's supposed to match these three paintings here. This is, the cat I'm painting is this cat right here, just as a kitten, but the backgrounds are all supposed to be cohesive. And I don't want to mess it up. All right. Well, he looks so cute right now. Hopefully I don't ruin it. I'm going for blue and green. Is this water clean enough? Bear with me. I'm going to be back in a minute. I need fresh water for this background because I want it really bright and green, and this water is going to muddy it up a little bit. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I've got fresh water in my handy dandy pickle jars. I'm ready to start the background. I'm gonna clean out some palettes so I have a clean spot for these bright greens and yellows I want to do. And I'm going to want a fresh paper towel because I use a lot of water during this process. That brush is not clean. Let's go with this one. Here we go. That's a clean brush. Okay. So I like to look at where the light source is coming from. It's coming from this way down because you can see the shadows are going away from him. So I'm gonna make this a pale, I don't know, let's go with pale yellow. Hopefully this black doesn't bleed into the yellow too much. I should have painted the background first a little bit, at least by, yeah, definitely up by his head, because then I could have painted the black over the background. If I like accidentally painted over my lines a little bit, it wouldn't have mattered. But now I have to be very careful that I don't get the black super wet because then it'll bleed right into that yellow. And now, so I'm looking at these as my guide because I've painted this cat before. So I'm trying to keep it similar. And I think I want a little teal. That's a good one. The problem, I love this color right here that I'm using. It's like a phthalo blue. The problem is it stains so easily. So like once you put it down, it's down. You're not gonna be able to lift it up or move it around, or if you've got a hard line in there like that, if I left that right there, it would stick and dry like that so fast. So I'm starting really light and I'm kind of covering, he's gonna have white chest furs come all the way out here. So I'm just painting over that right now because I'm gonna use an opaque white paint later to make that really pop. But starting light because I can add more later. It's just like with baking, you know, you can always add more flour, but you can't take it away. Same with paint, you can always add more. It's really hard to take it away once you put something down in watercolor without like totally destroying the paper. Trying to move fast so it doesn't dry in areas and leave hard lines. Okay, I had it muted there so you didn't have to listen to that dryer. But as you can see, that really warped the paper like crazy. But it's not a huge deal. I usually just tape down the edges and finish my painting, and then when I'm fully done, I let it sit overnight under a stack of books. It's very high tech, I know, but it flattens it out great. Okay, now that that's mostly dry, I'm gonna tuck down the edges. Maybe tape them down here. And I'm gonna go back to working on his face. I'm gonna darken up that background more, specifically because I dropped my paintbrush right there earlier with black paint on it, and so I need to find a way to work that into the background. But I just wanted to get that first wash of color down. His eyes definitely, his pupils need to go darker. He looks a little funny right now. Make sure there's no paint on my arm or my hand, because I do that all the time. And then I like put it all over the paper. Trying to train myself to work a little faster at these paintings. I used to spend like, 15 hours on a painting over the course of days. So I would get very distracted between brushstrokes, getting on my phone, or watching, I'd go really slow because I'd be watching TV while I paint. And while you're trying to record a process video of your paintings, you can't really be taking 15 hours on a single painting. Just logistic wise, it doesn't look good when you have a bunch of takes over across a bunch of days with different lighting, different sounds, and also it's a lot of video to edit and look at. And so I've tried so many different techniques of recording my process, but really the only thing that's going to help me is just moving faster and being on live while I'm not recording the process to edit later into like shorts or reels or a long form video. It is training me, I think, to move a bit faster. So I'm not getting on my phone to like just, dilly-dally around on social media or whatever. I see other like artists on YouTube or Instagram that do a full painting in just one sitting, and I can't do that. I'm not there yet. I started working on this guy this morning, but I did the sketch a couple days ago, and the sketch itself probably took me an hour. I don't know, maybe half an hour. And all that starts to add up, so it'll just really help me if I can figure out how to go faster while maintaining the quality of the paintings. Going so slow too, it really doesn't help me with, you know, pricing of the paintings. If I'm spending 5 to 10 hours on a portrait that, you know, I only charged $100 for, that's not a great pay. His face still looks a little funny, but I think once I get the whiskers in, that'll tie everything together, make it all look correct. I want to go darker on the background too, specifically so I can put white paint over like a dark blue with those whiskers, and it'll look so good. Oops, gotta charge my iPad. I'm gonna move it so you guys can see the reference photo at the same time. All right, where was I? I think I was messing with his face still. Still need to finish this little mouth area. Oops. Kind of like a dark gray blue under here. Still probably darken up his butt. You know what, I'm gonna do the background over here first though. What should I do? I'm trying to decide if I want to make it green, teal, or blue back here. guess we're going with green. These little sketch lines, but what did those mean? Those are just a shadow line. Okay, so I can paint over that. My paper is definitely warped. You can see the water pooling here, but it's not going to be a big deal. Once I finish the painting, I can easily flatten that out. The only thing it really does is just annoy me in the meantime. I like painting on blocks of watercolor paper that are glued down on all sides, but this is a custom size that I cut from a large sheet. It's an 8x10, and the paper I buy doesn't come in 8x10, or at least not as a block. So I just paint on it loose. And like, there are techniques to stretch the paper, is what it's called. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. And once I get these shadows in behind his feet, I think that'll look cute. Help give some context to where he's standing. And then I'm gonna put black lines all over because he's super fuzzy once the background dries. Ooh, that's still wet. Okay, shadows. Let's do just slightly darker what we were doing. Bit of a shadow up here too, from his front paw, I'm assuming, but it's invisible to us. Adding that shadow should help again with some visual information on how he is standing, and this helps make it so it doesn't look like he's just like floating on a background. if I didn't use that dryer, I would inevitably put my hand right in that black paint and then track it all over the rest of the painting. Ask me how I know, because I have done it many times. Still, I think I need to finish some shadows on his back feet. That looks bad. I need to fix that. Okay, I think now I can go back to the background. I want to make this area darker so his whiskers stand out when I paint them in white against the background. And if I accidentally cover his face a little bit here, it's okay, because I can just go back over it with black later. Don't like that. I've been talking this whole time, forgetting I muted it a while ago for that dryer. Okay, so that's the annoying part on painting on loose paper. It does this, but once I finish, it'll flatten really easily. So I think I'm at the point that I'm adding details now. I'm almost done. I'm just gonna add all the wispy hairs that he has, and he has a lot. So let's see. I'm gonna start with a black pen, or black paint first instead of a black pen. This is the part where I can just zone out. I mean, look how much that helps just already. I think, personally. It's kind of hard to see what's going on in this whole area here on his photo. I'm just straight guessing at this point. Okay, now I think it's time for some opaque white paint and a black pen. I need a different black pen though. And I like trying these gel pens. It's just they dry out so fast when I use them on a paper like this. I don't know if it's the watercolor that does it or the paper itself. Or if I'm pressing too hard, I don't know. Who do I still got here hanging out with me? That's too thick. He's got all these little white chest furs totally illuminated behind him, or by light behind him, that I'm trying to capture right now with this opaque white paint. Thank you. This kitten's name is Sullivan. Little tuxedo kitten. It's not the first time I've painted him. I painted him as an adult cat last year. And his parents came back and wanted one of him as a kitten. I'm just doing the finishing touches at this point. I'm putting the whiskers off till last because those scare me. They are easy to mess up. But they are the piece that is missing at this point. If you're like, it looks a little bit off, it's because there's no whiskers yet. Nope, don't like that. It's a little better. Do you have a tuxedo cat then? Okay, I've been putting it off, but I think it's time to do the whiskers fully. I like using a pen because I have more control over it. However, the tricky part is if I use a pen to do a whisker, I can't erase it. If I use this opaque white paint, if I mess the whisker up, I can erase it. But I don't have enough control with this stuff to get a really good, like, clean line. It's my dilemma with every painting I do. Whiskers. All right, I'm gonna try the opaque white paint. See if I can get it thick enough. This jar is kind of dried out a little bit. I need to buy another one. Luckily, it's only like 10 bucks. But I love that you can get a really solid white line with it, or white at all, with using this anywhere on the painting. And if you mess up, it comes up pretty easily. Like, oh my gosh, like that. See, I did not mean to do that just there. Hold on. But watch, it comes up. There, it's like it didn't happen. See, and that's why I use the opaque white paint. I cannot believe I just splattered that all over. Okay, he has some really bright whiskers here. And then these whiskers here are, I'll show you those. Those are the ones that are gonna make him look like him. And I am terrified of messing them up. Okay, let's do this one first. It's not wide enough, it needs to be even brighter. That's too much paint. Okay, and then there's another one right here from the corner of his ear down, and then a third one here from here to here. I'm like holding my breath through this. And then another one here. I don't love the way that looked. But not too bad. And then one last one underneath. Don't love that one, but whatever. All right, we'll go with that. Not too bad. And then this guy starts up here, ends there, and we have a really bright one. So I'll get more paint. The problem with getting more paint to make it brighter is that the line ends up being thicker and not super delicate like a whisker should be. And then two more kind of down here. One and two. Okay, now I think all that's left is a black pen. Get those even tinier wispy hairs. And then I also use it to like clean up the eye a little bit, make it all the black lines a little bit sharper. Maybe add some hair texture. pen is dying. This one's much thicker, but maybe I won't have to press as hard. Yeah, I just have to be more careful with it because the line is definitely thicker. I bought a new set and then I mixed it in with my old set, which was dumb because my old set is literally from 2014. So they are fried. I'm not going to spend too much more time on this area with the fur texture, even though I could. Like, there's a lot there. I want the attention to be on his face. So the more details I add over here, the more it's going to distract from his cute little face. Okay, I think all that's left is to add a cute little paint splatter. Oh shoot, I have to fix that up there. I dropped a black paint on it early on, so I'm gonna have to cover that with some blue. Now I'm gonna add some paint splatters and then I'll call it done. Let's do some yellow, bright yellow ones where it's dark. Looks kind of neat. I don't like that. Let's change that. I think a couple are okay, but that is too many. Okay. Let's do some blue. And then some white. I don't want to do too many white splatters because it'll look like snow then. All right, I'm gonna call it there before I start doing too much. Thanks for watching. This is Sullivan. Sully. Super cute. I'm gonna paint his sister next, but it might be a day or two. This is his sister that I'm gonna work on. She's a tortoiseshell. Same kind of background, but she is black and brown and yellow, orange and yellow. Should be cute.